when you come out and people like judging from all angles, it's like it gets really personal because that's like the rawest version of you you've just shown.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if I was like putting on a front and stuff, then I'd be fine because I'd be like, oh, they're judging someone I acted to be. But where I'm like, it's just me, I'm just like, right, so do I strip myself back? And I'm like, but that's not really me.
Welcome back to another episode of Girls Know Nothing. You'll probably recognise this guest as a finalist from the 7th series of Love Island. Kamwi is an English fashion blogger and influencer. She also not only came as a finalist in Love Island, she also won Celebrity Karaoke Club. So welcome to the studio, Kamwi. This is where you strut in. She's just dancing to the side on camera.
Like, vibing in, like, hi everyone. So unprofessional. Let me put my phone away.
You were just lit before you even got here. Obviously, well, people will have first seen you on Love Island.
Yeah.
And I think, well, obviously I was there for like the first beginning bit of your journey.
Yeah.
Not so much the end, which I did find really hard to watch it from the outside and not being able to be like...
I think you left way too early. I was fuming. I was really sad when you left.
Babe, you looked really angry.
I was annoyed.
You were so angry.
Do you know what? You build like close friendships. We build really close friendships really quickly. And it's like when people leave, it genuinely feels like a part of you's left because you're just sat and you're like, oh, okay. Right, so one less person to run to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's so weird.
I think it's weird because you can't, it's not like when someone moves away, you can still contact them and it's gradual. Yeah. Like you're literally ripped from the other person.
You're like, my family's gone. Like, you bond different. We just bonded different, some people. And I was like, oh, I think, like, why is she gone, man? What's going on?
I think we bonded differently to a lot of other people because even though we are different, we had a very similar experience when it comes to dating.
It was very exhausting in certain aspects.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think that it's something that's talked about more often now.
Yeah.
And I do think that you were partially as to reason as to why that conversation started to come more to the forefront. Obviously, you've done a lot of other TV, and then there's like conversations about whether race has a part to play in the challenges that when it comes to being on TV.
Yeah.
Was the Love Island like the hardest part of that challenge?
Do you know what? I think I had such a good time on the show in itself. Like, Love Island, it's amazing. I watched it, loved it. When they're like, come on in, it's like, why not? It's a fun experience. I thought I'd meet the love of my life. But so I was literally like, yeah. And I'm just like, you're in a bikini all day. And you have, I think in the back of my mind, I did have in my head, I was like, okay, it might be a little bit tricky based off like previous seasons you've watched because you see other people's experiences and you're like, oh, am I going to mirror that? Am I just going to be different? But then all I was like, I'm just going to be myself, be authentically me and just, see how it goes. And I think there's different challenges in general that come with being on a TV show. I think number one, you're in a house with people you don't actually know for a really long time. Like, people get under your nerves, you get under people's nerves, but you have to get over things quickly because you are living with each other. For the most part, I've gone with everyone, to be fair. But I think on the other side, it's like you are dating, so you're navigating what your dating life on the outside is like. So, like, I didn't know certain things. Like, I came out the show learning what love bombing is and gaslighting. I didn't really know those things when I was in there, and attachment styles. But then on top of that, it's like, okay, you start to understand that, like, how big of a tone race can play and colorism. I came out and there was conversations around colorism, and I was like, gosh, it's really a lot. And I think sometimes when you're unsure what you're experiencing, it becomes more clear when you're like, hang on a minute, like, I don't know, like, I got tired of just hearing, like, people saying their types was blonde hair and blue eyes. That's not a problem. Like, everyone's got different types. That doesn't bother me. But I think when you hear it so much, you kind of sit there and you're like, okay, I mean, before coming on, I was hoping people would be more open. So I was just sat there and I was like, if this is all I'm hearing, like, I'm just going to assume, like, I'm just here for bands and for vibes, because then it's just like, okay, like, that's so far away from me. So I'm just so why am I actually here?
I think there was an unaired conversation between us. And I think it was because it was so emotional. Yeah. When we were both sat there being like, why did we get brought here? Girl,
we were tired. I think we were just emotionally just like, because you know what, you can put yourself out there, but there's only so long you can do that before you're just like, okay, cool. And also you don't want to force stuff. So you're just like, okay, cool. But then it's like, no, what's the word? Like, for the lack of a better word, nothing against any of the guys, because I used to say to everyone, like, yeah, like, your type, that's fine. But it would just kind of be like, okay, well, I'm just going to wait for someone to walk in to say something different then, I guess. But then
you don't know if that's ever going to come.
Yeah, and it's not really the space for that. That's just not how it works.
No,
Okay?
like, I think obviously there was an argument that I had with one of the guys about their type and their preference. And I think it was because I got so exhausted. Obviously that conversation ruffled a lot of feathers because I said things that were taken out of context.
Yeah.
And that refers back to like colorism and race. And I think it's just because in the back of my mind, I was just holding on to that conversation we had because we were both so exhausted and emotional and upset. And I very rarely cry at being rejected by a boy.
Yeah.
But when you're doing it constantly,
it's tiring.
And there is no escape from it.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard.
Yeah.
But I know you've done other TV.
Yeah.
Like, what's the one you did recently? Challenge?
The challenge. Honestly, I was fighting for my life every day.
When I heard you were doing it, I was like, why? Who thought that was a good idea?
You know what? I'm all about like putting myself out my comfort zone. I put myself way out my comfort zone. Like, the team was amazing, and it's just, it wasn't the particularly right fit for me. I don't even go to the gym. Like,
no, I know. That's why I found it so bizarre.
No, honestly, and do you know what? I didn't even train for it. I was just like on holiday, like living my best life before. I literally just come back from Zanzibar with my best friend for mum's wedding. So I was like full of cocktails and, fresh beach in my mind. And then I was like, it's time to work out. I said, work out? I got there and everyone's like training in the morning, and I'd be like sat in the gym with them like, so do you go to the gym every day at home? They're like, yeah. I'm like, nice.
That gives me flashbacks to our first gym training session in the villa when you're like, how do I do this? And I was like, no, I can't have this conversation with you.
I'm pretty sure I tapped out. I think I did
one sit up,
and I was like, right, I'm going to root for everyone. Yeah.
Cheerleader on the sidelines.
Honestly, not much has changed.
It's only been, 2 years? But you also did Celebrity Karaoke.
Yeah.
How do you end up on all of these situations that I like? Why is she doing this?
I mean, she is the winner.
Yeah, that is true. That did surprise me. Actually, no, I don't think I'm surprised. I don't. I've seen you do the singing mainly to avoid the washing up.
Oh yeah, no. I literally was like the queen of avoidance in that villa. Like when it came to cleaning up and washing up, I think in the back of my head, I literally it's weird because in my head I'd be like, I'm really on holiday. Why am I cleaning up? But like really and truly, like we were in like a house. Like, I mean, thanks everyone for letting me just kind of vibe out. I washed up like twice, and everyone was so proud of me.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, I was so proud of myself as well.
Princess Kaz. Were the challenges in terms of like race on the other shows different to Love Island?
Yeah, do you know what? I think with the other shows, because it wasn't focused on dating, it was more so like it wasn't the same impact. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think as well, like for example, like with the challenge, I think it was a very diverse environment. I think the bigger challenge there was more so like figuring out where I was going to get physical strength from, endurance from, and all of that. So I don't think people were necessarily looking at me. It was more so like your strengths, what you could add. So I think it was more so the premise of the show. I think with Celeb Karaoke, again, it's so lighthearted. It was all around like just singing and just, being a boss, to be fair, and building connections. I think the thing in common with everywhere is you have to build connections. But I think because with Love, it's more so about dating.
Romantic, yeah.
It's very romantic. So it's a lot more, people are more specific, a lot more intentional with how they carry out themselves. So yeah, it's kind of like when you go on a dating app, like everyone who uses a dating app filters. What are your filters? Like, I think if that's the only way I can kind of describe it. Like, I think sometimes it's easy to use practical situations because it's quite pragmatic to expect people to understand fully when they haven't been in that villa.
Yeah.
But if you look at your phone, like let's say you're on Hinge, Raya, Tinder, whatever you use, you're going to filter that based off your preferences. What are you filtering for? It might be something like height. Everyone's like, height's not a big deal. Some people are like, height is a big deal. But it might be something like religion. It's not a big deal. Is a big deal. It could be race. Is a big deal. Isn't a big deal. So I think when you think of it that way, take that into a villa where the reality is you're only working with what you're working with.
Yeah.
How much are you willing to adjust that? So I think it's more that. So it feels, you feel it more because it's you can't really deny it. It's in your face.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true. And I
Yeah.
think as well, probably with the other shows that you've been on, there's probably less filtering out because it's so light-hearted. Like they
Yeah.
don't have to make drama
Yeah.
for it to be entertaining.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop trolls though.
Oh no, it doesn't stop trolls at all. I think the troll side, I think that more so comes from social media for sure. And I think it's such a weird one because see, I feel like we grew up in the age where social media was like coming up. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like very different to like someone who's like 15 because they literally walked out and the internet was there. Whereas for us, I'm pretty sure it was like MySpace, Facebook. Like, I can remember like creating a Facebook account and be like, what is this new thing?
Yeah.
Like Instagram. I can remember when I made my Instagram account on my mom's phone because I didn't have an iPhone. I had a BlackBerry. I had a BlackBerry Bold with the little ball, and like I got my first iPhone I think the summer before uni, but I made my Instagram the year before using my mom's iPhone. So it's really weird.
That would be like unheard of.
Do you know what I
now.
mean? And I just think trolls have, it's always been a thing that's kind of been there, existed. Obviously I was doing fashion blogging before. So I'd receive, people had trolled me before, but it was more stuff like your outfit, your I think more body shaming, more outfit stuff was what I'd got, which I'd literally be like, that really makes sense. Like the hate people tend to make sense. But I think with being on a show, you're exposed to much more people. And I think that's where I was like, this is a different level of trolling, but it's like death threats. But then the racial trolls, that's when I was like, I'm tired, man. I don't get it. Like, so I think there's this, it's a hard one because I think where I never really know who to put responsibility into the hands of because I think it's in the hands of quite a lot of people.
Yeah, it's the responsibility of the person who sends it, right?
Yeah.
But how did you deal with that? Because obviously if you, you experience it to a certain extent, because I did because of beauty pageants.
Yeah.
But it's on steroids when you move into TV.
It's mental. It's actually like one of probably the wildest things ever. Like, I know I definitely dipped and ghosted when I first came off the show because I put my phone away and everyone's like, what are you doing, guys? Like, is it your mental health? And some people are like, no, she's working on something big. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm in bed with my friends, my family. I think I like speak to all the girls, I speak to all of you guys, I speak to my family, and everyone's like, go on stories. Nope. Because it was scary.
Yeah.
I found it really scary. I think I'm really resilient and I'm really like strong and I can handle a lot of stuff. But I think to a certain extent, and I really struggled because I just didn't know what the right thing to say was, what the right thing to do was. But the main thing for me, I knew was like, you know what, this is really impacting me negatively. And what do I do when I'm not feeling good? I'm taking myself away from that situation because I'm like, I'm just not dealing. But I'm also very vocal. So like, I think when I was ready to speak up, I just spoke candidly, honestly, and just told people how I felt. Because I was like, I have no problems being open. Sometimes I'm a bit too open and that's where I'm like, oh, because then at the same time, like I don't mind showing people me, but then I also don't really like to, because I feel like, for example, like in that villa I was 100% myself. So when you come out and people like judging from all angles, it's like it gets really personal because that's like the rawest version of you you've just shown.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if I was like putting on a front and stuff, then I'd be fine because I'd be like, oh, they're judging someone I acted to be. But where I'm like, it's just me, I'm just like, right, so do I strip myself back? And I'm like, but that's not really me. So I think the main thing was just being honest, being open about how it impacted me. And I just think people need to do better in general because people forget you're just a real person.
How did you know you were ready to start speaking out about things that are impacting you?
I wasn't being myself anymore and I didn't like it. That's just it. I didn't like it. I didn't like who I was becoming. I was starting to judge myself a lot more. I was starting to question myself. I'm quite like, what you see is what you get. Like if I'm happy, my face shows it. If I'm not happy, I don't even have to say anything. I think my energy is very, I think people pick up my energy really quickly. Like when I'm flat, I'm like, yeah, I can literally feel myself draining people around me because I'm just like, so like flat. And then when I'm like up, I can feel everyone getting bubbly as well. So I think it was just, I think being honest with myself. I was like, what do I want to be? And I just wanted to be myself again. And I knew that the only way I could do that was to just be honest about why I just wasn't online anymore, why I wasn't really like, even when it came down to like getting back into content I was doing before, I just lost so much confidence. I'm such a confident person. And I was like, nah, mate, I just didn't like, you know, when you can see yourself changing.
Yeah.
And I was like, No, because what I'm not about to do is become a whole other person purely because I got dragged through the mud. Like, it happens to a lot of people, obviously, and I'm not the only person who's been through it. But then I also think, in the back of my head, I did think, like, I've got 3 younger siblings, 2 sisters, 1 brother, and I always think, like, I know how much they look to me and look up to me. Am I about to show them a part of me that's just not even like who? No, I'm not doing that. So I think it was just that, just being like, basically fuck off to everyone who really just tried to come for me when really and truly, like, no.
Do you find it really, like, is it really pressured to know that your younger siblings look up to you in that sense?
A little bit.
I think it's a cultural thing as well,
yeah,
right?
I feel like, I think being an older sibling, some people say it's like a second parent. I definitely wasn't necessarily made to play the role of a second parent growing up. I think I acted more like the youngest, if anything. I'm probably the most rebellious out of all my siblings. But I think that's where the Princess Kaz comes from, where I'm literally just, I think I just so badly did not want to have to be like, I think I've just always been, my mom's always said, I think from the age of like 12, I learned the word assertive at 12 years old, because people would be like, no, she's not supposed, she's just assertive. And I used to be like, yes. I was like, what does that mean? I'm like 12 years old. I've been calling myself assertive since then. That's kind of mad though.
That is a bit mad actually, because I don't think I knew what assertive was at 12. Like,
I definitely learned it at like 12. But I think it was also like my parents' way of like letting me be able to really just be myself and not feel pressure to fill into like shoes I don't need to.
Yeah.
Like, I was allowed to just be like a kid and stuff.
I think it's really nice that actually your parents taught you that word and gave you that word to use.
Yeah.
So I think when you think about stereotypes when it comes to women and stereotypes when it comes to race, you're automatically put into a shoebox where
100%.
You're not assertive or a born leader, you're angry.
You're angry, you're aggressive. And I'm just like, no. I'm just assertive. Like, I always say to people, like, even like arguments, I'm like, I don't really start arguments, right? Not really, obviously sometimes, but not really. For the most part.
For the ones I've seen.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But like, for the most part, it's like, I will finish it though.
Yeah. Like,
I'm not going to go out of my way to create a problem or to create a drama. I think I communicate quite well for the most part. Granted, I'm not perfect. Absolutely not. No one is. But for the most part, like, yeah. But like, I can be confrontational, but then it's like, I don't just go to someone, I'm like, I heard this. What the fuck? I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, but if you're ready to talk about it, yeah, we can talk about it.
I'll
stand my ground, but yeah.
Do you find that, obviously you were a fashion blogger before any form of TV.
Yeah.
When you started seeing changes in yourself post-TV, did it make it harder for you to work essentially?
Yeah, kind of. Because even when I look back, like, I haven't, like, even I was like, yeah, I'm going to get back into my fashion. I don't think I've fully done it. I think I've done some videos now. Like, I've done like maybe 2 on my own, but like with my sister and my mum, because then I feel like I've got people with me. It's kind of like a little bit of a shield.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I love creating content with my sister, and obviously I love, like, we did one with my mum for Mother's Day, and I
loved that, by the way.
Honestly, like, it's just so sweet and so wholesome, and I just love my mum. So that was, and I really have fun doing it, but I think when I was like, okay, I'm going to have to start doing it by myself, I just had too much anxiety, because I was just like, oh, I don't know. Like, I think it's just like being picked apart, especially for like your looks. And, it's such a shame that like this, it's a hard one, isn't it? With like society, because like people see your face every day, see your body every day. So it's like you want to maintain a certain way so then you feel comfortable to present yourself to the world. And when people like say certain things about you, like people pick different things apart, it makes me sit there and be like, should I sort this out? Okay, should I fix that? But I never thought that before. And now I'm like, oh gosh, it's just like, I don't really know what direction to kind of go in, but it's the main thing is like being like comfortable. So I think when I started to become a bit more uncomfortable, I was just like, it's not gonna do that just for now until I feel like I'm comfortable again, which is just sucky.
Did it ever make you want to stop what you're doing and move to do something completely different?
Yeah, I can't. Different as in like what? Completely outside of like being creative,
like the fashion space.
Not, I think a little bit. I think it made me want to do maybe a little bit more behind the scenes, still in fashion, but like not like in front of it for a little while. But then again, that just didn't really feel the most authentic, really. So Yeah.
No. So you did start a new YouTube series.
Yeah.
With your other half.
Yeah.
Who isn't here? We should have done like a three. To be fair though, that would have been the most chaotic episode ever.
We probably would be speaking all over each other. We probably would have broken the mic. That would be gone. This whole set would be turned upside. Liv and I together. You've seen it. It's just chaos.
Like Christmas dinner was probably the most chaotic experience I've ever had in my life. It was like feeding time at the zoo, and I actually don't know how it happened.
It's just so funny. It's like I don't know.
Lib with cheese in her hair. Faye's poked my eye out with the breadstick. Like it was
Abby trying to figure out what she can and cannot eat off the menu.
Yeah, that was a lot, by the way. Abby's food preferences. I thought yours were a lot.
I thought mine were a lot.
Abby's were a whole nother level.
But the thing, Abby never wants to inconvenience anyone. So she'd be like, no, guys, I'll do it. We're all sat there like, no.
So she's not eating, basically, just air and cocktails. But what inspired you guys to want to start your YouTube series?
Yeah. So I think when we came out the villa, like loads of people wanted to do stuff together, but we both had so much going on. So it was just kind of like, she didn't really have the time. And then I think we started doing like TikToks, and we were kind of just, I think one day we were both having a conversation just about what we want to do in terms of like work. You know, when you just touch base with your mates and it's just like, you know, how are you doing this, for that? We're talking about holidays, we're talking about life. And then we were both talking about like, basically we both wanted to start a series, but it was very like we both had individual ideas, but then as we were opening up to each other about it, a lot of things were really similar.
Yeah.
And then we were just like, why don't we just do it together? And then we were like, yeah. And then we're like, okay, cool. So we literally that same night we was out on the phone. We were like, right, so we made a TikTok page, we just made an Instagram page, made a YouTube page, and said, yeah, let's just YOLO. That was literally us.
Did you feel pressure when you left the villa to always have to do stuff together and you couldn't be individuals?
Not really pressure. I think when we came out, because obviously I came out after Lib, so when I came out, I had like loads of messages from Lib, so on like Instagram, so we didn't have each other's numbers.
Oh, I forget that.
Yeah,
it's
so when
bizarre.
I came out, I remember going on my phone and I was like, where's Liberty? And I had like DMs and stuff. And then obviously she sent me her number and she was like, oh my God, babe, they call us Kibbity. And I was like, what the hell is Kibbity? And she's like, Kaz Liberty. And I was like, oh my God, that's so crazy. So we just, because we didn't know that stuff. And it was just so hilarious and so funny. And like loads of people would say that, but honestly, there was so much going on from so many different angles that like, I think a few brands wanted us to do stuff together, but then it just didn't work out. It just didn't make sense when we were like looking at all like the contracts and stuff. So we were literally just like, yeah, cool. But we just always, I think we just were doing our own thing and then just maintained our friendship and just always supported each other. So I think it kind of just organically happened. I think us doing like the series together now happened in the most natural way. Again, it was us just having a conversation and be like, wait, that's what I wanted to do. No, that's what I wanted to do. We're like, let's just go. We're like, yeah, YOLO.
To be fair, I love watching your TikToks. We were saying off camera that honestly, because I know both of you, I'm not surprised that sometimes I'm like, how have you let these situations get, especially your dating ones?
Oh no, honestly, like we do Get Ready With Me like TikToks and we just talk about different situations. And it's so weird when we're filming it, it's stuff we haven't like necessarily we don't tell each other what we're gonna say. We just say, right, think of 3 things. So we'll like be like, pick a theme, like I don't know, like worst date you've been on. We'll be like, okay, we'll be like, think of 3, and I'll think of 3. We'll be like, okay, cool. And then we'll be like, you ready? Yep. And then we'll do it. So we're naturally reacting to each other's. And obviously there's some things that we have told each other, because obviously we've been friends for about 2 years now. So there's things that obviously if it's like people she's dated while we've been friends, I know those situations. But if it's like ones from before we were mates, I'm literally sat there like, you did what? What happened where? So it's really interesting because we're like learning about each other at the same time.
I did watch one of your videos where you said that you are, on face value, you get on with everyone.
Oh yeah.
And then you realise it's because you're putting your guard up and you don't like to let people in. Yeah. And then when you do, you're like, it's scary territory.
Oh, 100%.
Do you find that what you're doing is actually scary territory because you do have to let people know that stuff about you? Yeah,
I think it is. I didn't realize it was scary until like when I'd open up about something, people be like, wow, thank you so much for opening up. And I'm like, I just opened up about something. I'm like, oh, I just spoke about something like mad deep. I'm like, now people know me more. I'm like, like I'm really open, but I'm really private.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. Really like I can't explain it because I know both sides of you and I just I don't know how to.
Do you know what I mean? So like I think like for example, like if I look into like you, Lip, Faye, Abby, Rachel. Probably the only people who know me on a deeper level.
Yeah.
If I'm like, everyone else, surface. Like, most basic of basic stuff, which I don't even mind telling people. I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. But when it comes to like real life, like how I feel in certain situations, how I feel about certain things, like even just like grief, like losing my dad, like a lot of people don't know much of it. They just know the surface, but like the real feelings, I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm like, I'm still gonna be tight. Like, but I've learned that it's actually okay as well to open up. And I think I feel more comfortable opening up, especially when I know that it helps people.
Yeah.
So I think I'm like, okay, cool. It's like, and I don't mind. And also it allows me to be a bit braver. And I think the more I put myself out of my comfort zone, the more like relaxed I get.
I've not actually seen it yet, but do you think you'll ever properly open up about losing your dad?
Definitely. I think I've done it. I'm doing it a little bit more. And I just think I was like 19 at the time and none of my friends had lost a parent at all. And I was in uni. Like, I basically grieved through that, like going out and being in the club, to be honest. So
which isn't like, grieving, is it?
Yeah, like, it's not, and it's just so bizarre. And I think when I look back at it, because I'm like, 28 now, I'm like, wow, like what was I was really just like skating. You just don't understand what grief really is and the gravity of it. So I think it's something I definitely want to open up for, especially for like young people, because I was like 19 and I look at like my siblings, they're all younger than me and I'm just like, wow, it's crazy.
It's because I do know like quite a fair few people who have also lost a parent.
Yeah.
And like you try to help them.
Yeah.
But you can't sympathize because you've never been through it yourself.
Yeah.
And then you don't really know what to say.
Yeah.
So I think even from my perspective, learning about how to help somebody who has lost a parent, to hear it from somebody like, what can I say? What is the right thing to say?
Do you know what? I don't even think there's a right and a wrong. I think that the best thing I would ever say to someone is just to be there. I think everyone just needs someone to just be there and just be present. Whether that's being there in like absolute silence, whether that's being there in that they were like, I think it's just being there. That's the only thing I can do. Because you can never really say the right or wrong thing because it'll be different for each person individually. But I think the main thing people always appreciate is people just are there. Yeah, whether it's just a little touch base, whether it's just sending love, whether it's just like, do you need a distraction? It's kind of like, yeah.
Do you think it's altered your how you see romantic relationships?
A little bit. I think I'm more picky than people realize. Like,
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not.
Yeah, I know.
I'm literally, you're the person with the weirdest icks I've ever heard in my life.
I know.
You and Faye.
Yeah.
Weirdest icks ever.
I know. Oh, and Faye made it really good. Faye always says to me, she's like, because I always say to him, like, yeah, I'm like really like intense. That's because I just don't mind asking like straight questions straight on. Like, I'm just like, just tell me. But then she's like, you'll be like, yeah, like straight on. And you'll be like, yeah, intensity, cool. But then as soon as it does get intense, you jump. And she's so right. Yeah. So I'll be like, yeah, I'll put it out there. As soon as it did, I'm like, whoa, gotta go. Nope, ain't gonna work. I think it's made me a lot more like picky, but I think it's also made me see like life is actually really short. Yeah. Like, so I feel like you just have to I go for things a lot more. I think I'm more like, what's the word?
Like, is it audacious the right word?
Ooh, audacious.
Ooh. That is a word I
quite like that. You know, approach it with audacity. I mean, I have a lot of audacity when I'm dating, to be fair. You know,
or just in general.
And in general, like, absolutely. Listen, if you don't ask, you don't get. I say this to everyone.
Or you get, and in Kaz's case, you dip.
Yeah. You get it, and you're like, okay,
I don't want it anymore.
See ya.
No, I think, so I did see an article where you were saying that you're not looking for love.
Yeah.
And I think when you've been on a show like Love Island, I hate circling always back to it, but people are so invested and interested in your love life, even if you aren't dating somebody from the show.
Yeah.
And so to hear you openly say like categorically not looking for anything, did that surprise people?
I think yes and no. I think my journey from what everyone said was really stressful. Just
journey is a loose term.
Very, like, stressful. I mean, I did leave, like, to be fair, I did leave happy, and then that just didn't work out for different reasons, which is just that. But I think when I say I'm just not looking, I'm like, I don't know. I just feel like, to be honest, I don't leave my house. I leave my house, but I don't really leave my house. So, well, that's, that stops it right there. And then, like, if I go on a dating app, I'll have it, you know what I'm like. I'll be on a dating app for like 2 weeks, and then I'll delete it.
And then she's back again.
And then I'll be back again in like 2 days. I'll get like really lit, and I'll be like, oh, this could be fun. And the next morning I'm like, ew, delete. Like, it's like a really toxic cycle. Like, why am I doing that?
I think everyone's like that.
Do you know what I mean? So I think it's like I'm not like looking for it. If it does come, I will explore that. But I just am having a lot of fun right now.
Is that what inspired your decision? Like fun, or is there like a particular reason behind it?
I just think. I don't know. I think maybe the guy, the guys I meet, like, they sort of really, really lovely,
really attractive, but I don't know about the rest of it. Not to like throw you out in public like that, but
yeah, they've been pretty fit, to be fair. Yeah.
She's now thinking about them, which is
I'm
like
just
great.
looking back and I'm just like, yeah.
The roster's pretty good looking.
They're
but
pretty good
apart
looking.
From that,
it's been a good looking roster. Some people have offered some depth, but then it's just like we're just not. The compatibility is just not there. I don't know. I think it's just maybe I just want to put less pressure on myself. I think definitely, because I think if I say like, right, I'm looking for love, then I would seriously approach everything as like me, like genuinely looking. And I'm very much like, if I get along with someone, I'm like, oh, okay. If I get along with them, I'm like, I'm sure we can just grow a bond. I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. I think it's the pressure for the age thing as well, because we're both approaching 30, which is in my eyes still young.
Babe, I still see it. So like, I'm turning 29. What month are we in? In a few months. Well, actually, it's the end of the year, like October. So
in a few months.
Yeah, I'm like a few months. We're literally in like, what are we in? March, April, May, June, July, August, September, 7 months. So I'm gonna be 29 in like 7 months. So I see the societal, I only feel pressure when like people ask me loads. I'm like, oh my God, should I be panicking more than I am? Because I'm not really panicky. But then I've always said, people say to me like your 30s is like, since I was like 22, people in like been saying that your 30s is lit. 30s is where it's at. I was hearing that from like 22. So I've always had it in my head like, yeah, my 30s is going to be where it's at. Yeah, lit. And then people are like, okay, cool. If you want to have kids, you're child. And I'm like, oh, okay. I don't really look into that much. I'm like, should I? But then I'm very much like, do I want kids? Yeah, I would have like 2 kids. But then I'm like, if I didn't have kids, would I feel like my life didn't get complete? Probably not. And then I think that surprises a lot of people, because I think a lot of people think I want a massive like family and stuff. And I'm just kind of like, I'm a little bit selfish sometimes. I just like to like look after like me, and then my friends and like my siblings. So I'm like, oh gosh, sometimes I get scared of the idea of having kids. But then some people are like, you don't really know love until you have kids. So I'm like, okay. But then I'm like, okay, if I have kids, I want like 2, but I just want a little daughter. I just want a mini me.
You just want, it's like a fashion accessory.
So then I sit there and I'm like, is that a good enough reason? And that's why I'm just like, so I think sometimes I don't feel the pressure as much, but I don't know if it's because I just don't take it that seriously. Yeah. I think when I start to have actual conversations with people, because I was having a conversation with one of my mates like the other day, and she was talking about like freezing eggs and stuff. And I was like, you know what, that's kind of a shout actually. It's a shout. And then I'm like, maybe it's because I think I live very lightheartedly in general. And I always say like, sometimes like I am serious, but like sometimes I'm like, I need to like actually be a lot more serious, because I don't approach everything as seriously as I should. So yeah, and then I don't know, it's a weird one, because I think when I look at like what I always would think at like 19, I used to think, okay, I'm going to be married, engaged, have my kids by like 25 tops.
Everybody at 25.
Sorted. And then I'm like, okay. And then when I look at it now and I'm like, even when I'm dating, I'm like, I look and I'm like, you know how like some people have like that one person, like, worst case scenario, I'm going to see what you're. I'm like, I don't even have that anymore. Because I'm just like, no, I'm just not doing that with my exes. I'm not doing that. So it's a weird one. But
it is, yeah. But to be fair, a lot more women are talking more openly about freezing their eggs and focusing on what they want from their own life.
Yeah.
Because of the societal pressure around having to be a mother.
Yeah.
Or constantly getting told like, oh, well, you'll change your mind when you get older.
Exactly.
You're just young, it's fine.
And it's like, you won't know. Like,
until it happens.
You just won't, yeah, that's what I think. You won't know till you're in like different situations as well. And I think like when you experience certain things, your thought process, your trajectory, how you perceive it is always going to change. Do you know what I mean? It's going to, because now you're moving based off an experience as opposed to just like the ideology that you kind of had. So yeah, it's just really interesting.
It's nice to hear you say that, because a lot of people would probably call you a role model for being so open, even though you have a guard up.
Yeah.
Do you consider yourself a role model?
But like to who? Like to my siblings, I don't care. I said to all my siblings, yeah. I said to my brother, I said to Ben.
Banj.
I'm going to call them like, yeah, Banji, Mimi, Ben. I say to all of them, yeah. There is no way you can ever tell them I am such a lit sibling to them. I am an inspiration to them. Honestly, like, they do inspire me as well, like genuinely. But I am sure when they say who inspires you in life, I better be top 10 on that list.
I'm surprised you've gone for 10 and not for like 2.
I was trying to be humble.
Oh.
Low-key, I think I should be top 3. Like, you know. But like, yeah, I think to my siblings for sure. To other people, like people who DM me and tell me and I'm like, oh, like, wow, it does make me think like, oh, wow. But then sometimes people say it and I'm like, okay, but like, why? Do you know what I mean? But yeah.
Do you feel the pressure when people say like you are a role model to them?
Yes and no. I think no, because in my head, I'm like, you know what? I'm just being myself. And I think if I haven't met the person, like it depends on how like deep their message is. So sometimes I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, nice. But then other times I know, and that's me being kind of, I have to read the message and I'm like, no, like this person's like highlighted things that I didn't even acknowledge.
Yeah.
And in those moments, I'm like, okay. And then it makes me realize that actually, yeah, to a certain extent, having a platform, regardless, you do have a certain responsibility. And I think that puts things back into perspective as well. And I think it's easier sometimes, I don't know, like I find it easier to just be like, oh, I'm definitely not a role model, because then I feel like it's my way of like stripping away from holding responsibility. Yeah. And like having to really recognize how I do get perceived. And I'm just like, if I don't want to deal with that, I'm just like, oh, but why? But then it's like, no, you have a certain responsibility to a certain extent. You know, what you do about it's up to you. But it is there.
I completely get that. And I think it's nerve-wracking to think that every single thing you do can impact somebody in a certain way.
For sure.
And then you're also like in this weird vicious cycle where you're like constantly making sure that, oh, if I do this, is this going to upset someone?
But then you also have to remember to like not think of that too much, because then you start to put that extra pressure on yourself that you don't need to, and then you want to carry out a certain way, and then you're like, no, it's just
and it's 24 hours.
I know.
There is no turn off.
Yeah. But then I wouldn't change it. That's the thing. I think the main thing is, I don't know, I just want people to be able to just, I don't know, I just think if anyone was to look into me, the only message I'd want people is to just live authentically. That's what I'd want people to take away from me. Do you know what I mean? Good, bad, ugly, cute. Like,
talking about living authentically, what do you see? Like, what is the next big dream for you to have? Like, what is the next goal that you've got?
Next goal? Do you know what? Like, actually, well,
she's thinking about things she can say now, can't you?
No, it's not even that. I was going to say doing my driving, because I've been avoiding it for so long.
Oh my God, yeah.
But I don't know if that's
drive.
like not like...
No, but like...
I'm so bad.
Small goals are still goals.
Basically, right. So obviously I started my lessons when I was like, what, 18? And then my first instructor that I had, we did like 4 lessons. And he told me that I needed to be more manly on the road. And he said I was too flimsy with the wheel and I needed to be more masculine. And that really threw me off. I was like, 18.
A weird way to describe that.
Genuinely. And I think that really like changed my brain chemistry, because then I just like was like, oh, okay, like I'm not driving right. Like, I don't know. And then I was like on and off. Then I went to uni in Birmingham and I was too scared to learn in Birmingham because I lived in Essex, and I was like, I'd rather learn in the country roads. Yeah. I don't want to learn in a city. So I just didn't do it. So then graduated like 21. And then the next couple of years, honestly, I've had about 9 instructors. They've been great. Fell out with one of them.
Oh, nice.
Yep. A fantastic experience. It was so random. It was so random.
Do I want to know?
Do you know what? Basically, right? She was really lovely. We actually used to get along, but I think she was like too much of like a mate as opposed to like an instructor. But basically, we fell out, right? Because she wanted to. I could only do mornings, and then she was like, I don't know what happened, but she needed to like take her kids to school. Or something, and I was like, oh, that's fine. Then I was like, so I'll just have to get a new instructor because I couldn't do the afternoons because I used to work at the time. And then I was like, oh, but I can do the evenings, which is like after work. And she's like, I need to make like dinner for like my husband and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was basically saying like, it's just that, what about the weekends?
Fit,
and then she's like, weekends, you know, she wants to like go shopping. And I just said, well, that's a bit selfish.
Excuse me, I'm trying to get a driving license here.
I know, because I felt like, because basically she wanted me to like do them like earlier in the, like she wanted me to do like 6 a.m. lessons. What am I going to do at 6 a.m.
Babe,
lesson?
you were 50 minutes late here in the middle of the afternoon. There's no way you were getting up for a driving lesson at 6 a.m.
That is 6 a.m. lesson. I didn't get it. And she only wanted to do an hour one as well. So in me, there just wasn't any logic, but I felt like I had no wiggle room. I couldn't do evenings. I could only do 6 a.m. And I was like, it doesn't make sense. And I was like, that's a bit selfish. She's like, selfish. And then we just had an argument. I was like, okay, cool. But I was like, but then I'm saying like, we probably just wouldn't work. And she's like, no, we can work if we do 6 a.m. in the morning. In the week, except the weekends. And I was like, babe. So yeah.
So next goal is driving.
Yeah, because I actually need to do it now. I'm over it now. To be fair, it's my own fault. I just haven't been doing it. And I'm not a serious candidate when it comes to that. So that I need to do. And then probably deciding about what I want to do in terms of like moving. I don't know what I want to do. I think if I can like genuinely establish and sort that out, I actually would have done something. Because right now I'm just like, basically, tackling things I've been avoiding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think when I want to do something, I do it. If I don't, I just linger on. Oh, I can let things linger for years if I have to.
So, because I did see that you did some work with The Big Issue.
Yeah.
And you were talking to me a little bit about it, but would you not want to do that more often?
Absolutely. So basically, so when I was in uni, I did sociology in uni, and I did a 3-month placement with them. So their office was based like right outside my accommodation. So it literally used to be like a 5.
Is that why you ended up working with them?
No, honestly, like, so basically, I didn't actually know who The Big Issue were.
Okay.
I used to go, so when I moved to Birmingham, so like when I lived in Essex, I'd never heard of it, ever. I went to uni at like 18. And no, 18, turned 19. And I did my placement when I was 20. So when I did it, before I started it, when I used to go like food shopping with my mates in Birmingham and even just like walking to uni, I used to see a lot of people who sold The Big Issue around Birmingham city centre. And I'd bought it, but I just didn't really know what it was. I used to just buy it and put it in my bag and just carry on. And then I think one day I was like actually like reading it, and like my mate and I stopped. We were speaking to one of the vendors who was outside like the ball ring and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, he was really funny and just really cool. We're just asking him questions about life, to be honest. We're just talking, we're just vibing out. And then I was looking for like placements. And my route to uni, I used to walk past like their office and they had like an ad in the window. And so I went in, and that's literally how I did it. And that opened my eyes a lot, because before that I'd like helped out like soup kitchens in like Essex. And I understood and knew the problem that regarded homelessness, but I didn't really know much. And I think I'd only really acknowledge it was a problem in winter times, especially at like Christmas and stuff like that, when I'd be like, oh my gosh, like people are outside, like that's so sad. But in like summer, did it cross my mind? Did I think twice? I think if people like ask for like money or ask for food, I'd be like, yeah, sure. But I didn't really think about the issue of homelessness as per se. And then when I did my placement at The Big Issue, it changed my thought process completely, because then I understood the different ways people ended up in the situations. Because I think before I had a very ignorant view completely about how people end up homeless. I think when I started to have people's like conversations with people, and it was like people like it came from like different things, like divorces, addiction spiraling, like something happened. Like people were talking about like, yeah, they worked in finance. I'm like, oh, amazing, they had a mortgage, and then they lost all of that for different reasons. And that really made me realize that, you know, when people say like every single person is literally like a day away from being homeless, it changed my mind, because I never saw it that way.
Yeah.
Because my view was just so ignorant. But then I got to know so many different people, and I was just like, wow. And I just wanted to help, to be honest. I just wanted to like, I don't know. it was lovely. Like I think my experience there, everyone was just so lovely. And I did work with them when I came out of the villa, and I'm still doing with them. And then I worked with Shelter as well, because I'd never worked with Shelter before, but I knew who Shelter was. So I think it's once you learn, because there's loads of different homeless charities and houses and stuff that you can work with. But I think when you learn the different stories and the different things people want to change, it's really nice to like help. And I really do enjoy it, because I think it's so, when I just look back at younger me and just how I viewed it, how I viewed the world, it's so different. But that's because I knew no different and I didn't know any better. And I think even just having conversations with my friends and stuff, you just learn a lot. I don't know, I'm a learner. Like when I learn something, I'm like, okay, like I like practical change.
Yeah.
So I like when you can make actual steps that do help. And I like being in rooms where decisions are being made to make that change. But if I don't have the privilege to be in that room, I'd like to like voice that in a space I can.
Yeah.
You know? Hence why I say, even when it comes down to like changing like how diversity and race are in TV, I'm like, whether I'm doing that in front of the camera, behind the camera, like best believe I'm going to champion for that change, because I think it's important. So if we're going to go bigger goals than that, I think it would definitely be just seeing actual changes. Yeah.
No, that's really amazing to hear. So I'm going to ask you a final question.
Okay.
And what would you say to people in the past and people potentially in the future that doubt your success based on the fact that you are a young black woman?
Oh, don't do it. Don't doubt me. Or if you're going to keep doubting me, do so, but understand that that's not necessarily a reflection of me. That's you and your bias and your ignorance. I think it's really important for people to... It's so hard, because I think a lot of people don't understand, because I think it comes through a lot of like, I think it's unconscious bias. I think it's a lot of like people, I don't think everyone's necessarily aware that they're doing it. And I think also to a certain extent, it's maybe what is presented to them, like based off society. And it's a shame, and it shouldn't be like that. And I think the main thing I would say is for people to just like check themselves first, honestly. And, you know, Beyonce said the best revenge is your paper. So you just keep going.
I mean, she is wearing Fendi today, so.
I thought talking about Beyonce, I realised it's actually me. I am not Beyonce, but it is me.
That's the energy you were channeling during Celebrity Karaoke Club. So it's okay, we'll take that. But honestly,
I'm glad.
I'm so glad that I finally got you here.
Yeah, I know.
First guest in my nice new tidy space.
It's so cute. And I've just seen you in work mode. You're so wholesome. I'm so proud. No, I'm genuinely so proud of you. Like, I'm so proud of you.
Oh, this is like a really cute
so
mummy
nice.
moment. This is what people didn't see about us in the
I
villa.
know, right? Because I'm like, I promise, I am always like the main character. I'm like the child.
Yeah, that is true. I can vouch for that.
Yeah.
It was definitely Faye that took the mummy role. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
I don't think these guys trust me to be the mum. Give me like a week.
No.
What? A week as Kaz is the mum friend? Okay, like 2 days.
I'll give you a day.
A day. We're going on holiday together. So maybe on holiday, we should have a day where I'm literally the mum of the group.
Yeah, please, because I'm the organizer friend.
I know.
And I get hounded by everyone.
I know. But could you imagine me organising
We
it?
would never speak again.
Or like Lib. Like what are we going to do?
It's all right. I'm here. Don't worry.
The holiday wasn't even... I mean, the holiday would happen. It would just be YOLO.
Maybe in like 4 years' time. Honestly, thank you so much. And I actually can't wait to see what you get up to. And
Thanks,
I can't wait for you to drive me around.
Yeah, I know. Goodness. I really need... Do you know what made me want my license? It's because I just want a car now. And then I said to my mum, I want to get a car. She said, you can't drive. I said, oh yeah, so I have to get my license. That was literally why. I decided I want a car.
I can't wait for that day. So thank you. Maybe I can. But honestly, thank you so much.
Thanks, baby. Oh, you're so cute. This is so pretty, by the way. Good vibes only. But I'm going to take a video of you. I'm going to like Sharon's in work mode. And this is a cute
I love that my video of you is, why is she 50 minutes late? And then your video of me is like, look how wholesome Sharon is in work mode.
No.